Meanwhile, tonight, at least 34 villagers have died after a terrorist attack, a massacre, really, in the North African country of Mali. Armed men dressed as hunters in traditional clothing entered a village, murdering men, women, and children. Another 55 civilians were also injured in a similar attack on a neighboring village. What gives, right? This is the type of story that involves tribal names most people have never heard of, names like Fulani people suspected of having, and this is where the news ties come in, jihadist ties. Michael Maloof is a former Pentagon official who joins us now to try and understand this story. You know, as Americans, when you talk about incidents in Africa and we shake our heads and go, what, where, huh? I think it's important for us to start paying attention, especially when incidents like this happen. This is Mali. Not the first time we've heard of this type of terror attack in Mali. In this case, though, Michael, correct me if I'm wrong, but it looks like it was villagers attacking other villagers, right? Well,
on outward appearances give it that impression. There is some concern that even though these feuds have been going on for quite some time between the Fulani herdsmen, who are Muslim, and the Dogons, who are a little more villagers, and the Fulanis were the ones who were killed in this weekend attack, 130 people. There is Al-Qaeda in that area, has been in that area, and they have been recruiting from the Fulani over time because they are Muslims.
So that's why your antennas are going up. Essentially, you're thinking this might have, but I haven't read a report yet that actualizes that.
No, but the outward appearances, it's a common feud because the Fulanis for years have been herdsmen. They herd cattle. They go into areas that the Dogons feel, because they're agricultural, they're eating up the crops, they're stealing the water and everything else, and so it's not unlike what we used to experience in our own Wild West with cattle drives.
It's almost like tribal warfare.
It is.
That we still see out there, but we have to have. Now, let's shift the conversation a little bit if we could, because it's not just Mali. I mean, that whole area, it's not far from Algeria. Nigeria is just perhaps a little bit east of that. We have countries that are right in the scope of fear for a lot of countries, and we're seeing the influences of the Russians, the Chinese, the Americans, all suddenly discovering the so-called dark continent, right?
Well, the French were there in 2012 to put down what was an Al-Qaeda attack in the north of Mali. Of course, right next to Mali, you have Niger, where we had some of our U.S. Special Forces troops killed, and you have and so you have the Al Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb in that area around Algeria, and in the Mauritania area next door to Mali. It's something that which is causing antennas to go up, and if the Fulani herdsmen, who are Muslim, feel that they're not getting the satisfaction from the government, which has sided with the with the Dogons, they could look toward the more radicalized groups.
Point well made. And I think what you're saying is, especially to our own country, to the United States foreign policy, ignore this region at your own peril. Michael Maloof.
Absolutely. Because we are anticipating that ISIS and Al Qaeda are spreading further into Africa today, and as you pointed out, you have other powers that are involved. Not only the French, but you have the Russians. They're into Libya, and quietly, the United States has set up 34 areas within Africa, out of AFRICOM, which is in Djibouti. And so we're seeing the focus now turning on Africa, but nobody's watching. And in fact, ISIS has metastasized in many of the countries in Africa.
Michael Maloof, we thank you, sir, for taking time to take us through this. Sanchez, you found us on YouTube, and that's awesome. But you know what? I'm also live every night at 7 and 8 p.m. Eastern on DirecTV and Dish and cable and satellite, the RT app, and Pluto TV. I'll see you there.